Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the following distinguished guests to the inaugural stage. The Ambassador of the Republic of Stratham, Gabby. The Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Stratham, Kayla Bean. Please make your way to the tube. The Honorable Chief Justice of the Commonwealth of Redmont, Westray. The Vice President of the Commonwealth of Redmont, Vanquish 27. The President of the Commonwealth of Redmont, Austin 27.
Yeah.
The Vice President-elect of the Commonwealth of Redmont, GoldBlooded. Last but not least, the President-elect of the Commonwealth of Redmont, Consumer. Everyone, please take your seats. Mr. President, Mr. President-elect, members of Congress, Cabinet, and the Judiciary, representatives from Stratham, and distinguished guests, welcome to the inaugural ceremonies. We're here today to celebrate a momentous occasion. We're here to celebrate the peaceful transfer of power from one president to another, one of the hallmarks of our democracy. Only 5, soon to be 6 players have had the privilege of serving as president in the history of the Commonwealth, and have been conferred the responsibility of facilitating a smooth transition between administrations. And I'm proud to say that several of them, and Westray, Huge Bob, and Austin, are here to partake in tonight's ceremony. We begin tonight's ceremony with a player who has contributed more to our government than just about anyone else to have lived in the Commonwealth of Redmont. He has done just about all of it, from serving as the Speaker of the House to serving as the 4th President not too long ago. Without further ado, I would like to invite the 4th President of Redmont, Huge Bob, to say a few words on the inaugural stage.
I originally met Consumer back in the DRP days. He was running. I remember when he started. He was starting this new DRP moment. It was pretty. I didn't really think that he was going to be able to stick around. I thought he was kind of like a fad thing, new DRP. I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. But then I figured out that me and him actually agree on a lot of policy. And I had some beef with this guy named Crix. You might have heard of him. So very quickly I attached myself to Consumer, and we've been pretty good allies ever since then. And Consumer is honestly one of the most hardworking members of our government that we've ever had. So I think I'm ready to trust him to be the next president. He's not just hardworking, but he's also just a funny guy. He let me read Green Eggs and Ham at his inauguration. So that's cool. But yeah, Consumer, congratulations. You fucking earned it, man. That's all I got.
Thank you, President Huge Bob. On behalf of the inaugural committee, I would now like to thank the outgoing president of Redmont, Austin 27, and Vice President of Redmont, Vanquish 27, for their lifetime of service in the executive and the legislative branches, and in particular, their service in the past 4 months as leaders of this nation. Together, they have done it all. As their administration comes to a close on this stage tonight, I'd like to invite President Austin to address the nation from the inaugural stage for one last time as the incumbent president of Redmont. Mr. President.
Thank you, Twist. My fellow citizens, I'd like to begin by taking a moment to honor the members of my cabinet, both past and present. To those former, I want you to know how much I appreciate your service to my administration and to this nation. To those current whom are present here today, you may rise as I say your names. Secretary of Education and Commerce, Huge Bob. The Secretary of Construction and Transport, Mad. The Secretary of State, End. The Secretary of Environment and Recreation, Mint. the Secretary of Justice, Elena, the Secretary of Health, Belle, and the Secretary of Public Affairs and the Master of this ceremony, Twist. Ladies and gentlemen, for the last time, I present the Executive Cabinet of the Commonwealth of Redmont. Thank you. Now to my farewell. 4 months, roughly 50 acts of Congress signed, and 17 executive orders have led us to this very moment. I'm finally bidding you all farewell. The era of the Austin and Bank administration has finally come to a close. I am grateful immensely to those who helped me get this far. To my Vice President Vanquish, there's truly no one else I would have wanted to do this journey with. You have remained steadfast in your persistence on keeping government fun, that not everything has to be so serious all the time. Your heart for our government and your heart for our citizens has been the fuel of your time as Vice President. We have truly done it all together, from fellow staff members to fellow secretaries to husband and wife, and finally to the top roles of President and Vice President. Vanquish, thank you, from the bottom of my heart. To my cabinet, past and present, each of you were selected for a reason, with a certain purpose in mind. When Vice President Vanquish and I chose our original cabinet, we debated for hours on end over each position to ensure we got it right. Of course, things happen and people come and go, and our cabinet had quite a few changes throughout our term, but that's all right. We've appreciated each and every one of you. Something the Vice President and I always tried to do was make each cabinet nomination special. We pulled you into our group chat. I gave the nomination to the Vice President right there so you could read it too, and it was sent off to the Senate. It's no secret that I've led a very cabinet-heavy government. I had faith in the members of my administration to use their own personal judgment as the main guiding factor in most government decisions. And I like to think that that system worked quite well, and I hope you all think so too. My cabinet, I love you all dearly, and just know that I'm only one simple DM away. Now, to the citizens of the Commonwealth of Redmont. This is it. This is the final time I will address this nation as your head of government. My duty to the people is ending. My mandate was strong as we entered office with just about 59% of the vote. I made a promise during my campaign to always put the people first, over politics, party, and power. I will admit there were times where I failed to follow through on that promise, but in the end, I did my best. 4 months is a long time to serve as your president. I was faced with heavy opposition, but also immense support. No matter which side you are on, I thank you for giving me this opportunity. It has been the greatest honor of my career to have obtained this position and as well to keep it for the full 4 months. In just a moment, the president-elect will take the oath of office that I took just 4 months ago today. As he is sworn in, he will inherit an incredible amount of responsibility and burden. I ask that you all be patient as he gets settled into his new role. I know how hard it is to get started in this position, but I have full faith that as president, Consumer will lead this country to its most prosperous time yet. Citizens, I close with the following. Be you. Never let anyone or anything tell you different. Be the change you want to see and achieve what you want to achieve. You have every resource at your fingertips. Take a hold of it, remain dedicated, and you will succeed. I may not have been the president of everyone's liking, but I do hope that I go down as the president who had the most amount of passion for this role. It's one that I never took for granted. Thank you all so much, and always, remember, glory to Redmont.
Thank you, President Austin. Now, it is my great honor to introduce the Honorable Chief Justice Westray, who would be administering the oath of office to Vice President-elect GoldBlooded.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Redmont,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Redmont,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will hold. Wait, repeat it.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office of which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
So help me end.
So help me end.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice.
Now, GoldBlooded will address the nation for the first time as the Vice President of the Commonwealth of Redmont.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice. Thank you, President Austin, Vice President Vanquish. Thank you all. This truly is a special evening, and it would be an understatement for me to say that it's an honor for me to be here. Alongside Nikki, my amazing wife, and of course, my great friend and the sixth president-elect of the Commonwealth of Redmont, Consumer. Running this campaign alongside Consumer has been an experience like no other. An experience that words simply cannot express. We've carried the message of hope, unity, happiness across the Commonwealth. We've worked hard, gaining numerous supporters and many new friends from all across this blessed land. We're deeply humbled and forever grateful to the people of this nation, to those who've helped us through this long fight, to the very house on which we stand. Thank you. Thank you to those who stuck by us since the beginning. Because of you, we gained the trust of the citizens of the Commonwealth for a chance to lead them. Thanks to you, we have won one of the most important elections since the birth of this great nation. This will be a consequential administration that will be revitalizing, rejuvenating, and maintaining our astounding economy. Administration that will continue to put its citizens first. In this October election, we did more than campaign on a reputation. President-elect Consumer ran forthrightly on a clear agenda for the future of this nation. And the nation responded by presenting an opportunity only a few are able to accomplish. Now, we move forward to serve and guard the country we love. It will be my special privilege to serve as your vice president alongside this above exceptional, extraordinary individual. He's a man of confidence, personal kindness, and deep faith. He's outstanding, wise leadership, firm and fearless, and unafraid to be bold in the eyes of the opposition. Qualities that the people like in a president. Qualities which we will need for the next 4 months. If ever a man met his moment as our leader, that man is Consumer. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Now, finally, the moment you have all been waiting for. Please welcome back to the inaugural stage the Honorable Chief Justice Westray, who will be administering the oath of office to President-elect Consumer. Please stand for the oath.
Are you ready, Mr. Consumer?
Yes, Mr. Westray.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Redmont,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Redmont,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of which the office I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of which the office on which I am about to enter.
And I also promise to no longer be a communist.
No. You really, on my inauguration, bruh. On my inauguration.
That was
Bruh.
So help me end.
So help me end.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice.
Congratulations, Consumer.
Thank
Thank you, Twix.
Now, it is my great privilege. Now, it is my great privilege to introduce, for the first time in this presidency, the President of the Commonwealth of Redmont, Consumer, who will be delivering his inaugural address.
Vice President GoldBlooded, Chief Justice Westray, President Austin, President Hugebob, members of the Executive Cabinet, distinguished guests, and fellow citizens. I stand here before the Government House, humbled by the enduring magnificence of a structure occupied by only 5 presidents before today. In this House, 5 presidents have served before me, with 2 of them having stood on this very stage. 5 presidents before me have had the distinct honor of holding the greatest public office of our Commonwealth, each with different ideas, each with different principles, and each with a different vision for Redmont than their predecessor. 5 presidents have held the unique opportunity of actioning the engine of prosperity that's kept our nation so great for so long. Redmont is hardly the same nation it was 10 days, 10 weeks, or 10 months ago. 10 months ago, Redmont wasn't even our nation's name, until a certain freshman senator named Joan suggested it in a naming competition for our Commonwealth. The greatest thing about Redmont is our ability to change. It's our ability to see the problems of everyday people and find solutions. To work hard at bettering our community for ourselves and others. To discuss and innovate in our constant search for a better government and better server. That search begins with you. When I say you, I'm not talking to Austin. I'm not talking to West. I'm not talking to Bob or End or any of the septuagenarians who've been on the server for over a year, who already hold power, who already have brought change. When I say you, I mean people who haven't yet swam the chasmic sea of Redmont politics. Through the grandiosity of our institutions, through the prestige of our titles, through the awe of our buildings, and through the pretentiousness of our congressmen, I say this as a former representative. We often forget that ordinary people can effect extraordinary change. To you, people without fancy titles, you are the backbone of Redmont. You prop up our largest companies. You assemble our strongest political parties. You build stores, homes, and towers that bring our streets to life. To you, I say get involved and stay involved. With each new generation of leaders comes a new generation of ideas. And it's those ideas that keep playing on DC so engaging. The best part of every election is the new faces. It's the new leaders who help ancient politicians like me realize that when we leave office, our government's in good hands. For those new leaders, run for office. Hit up a political party. Fight for change, because change is what drives us forward, and change is how we stay ahead. And in stagnant times like these, change is what we need. Low incomes are stifling the economic potential of average people. Small businesses feel left behind, underutilized, unassisted in the shadow of our largest companies. The strength of our democracy is weakened by the bickering of our leaders and the apathy of our citizens. Player retention is declining due to our inability to keep our player base engaged. We can do better. We must do better. And with you, we will do better. We must choose debate over argument, ideas over platitudes, solutions over cheap fixes. To the Congress of Redmont, to our executive cabinet, to our political parties, to our citizens, I propose the following. Let us work together instead of for ourselves. Let us not dedicate our private interests. Let us not dedicate change toward our private interests. Let us dedicate our interests toward change for the common good. We have before us one of the greatest servers of our time. We have a stable, working democracy in a video game of all places. A democracy that brings excitement, engagement, and community to hundreds of people. We must fight to improve it, for if we fail to do so, we fail the average working people who do so much for our server. If we fail to do so, we leave such people in the chains of inequity and poverty. If we fail to do so, we wither in the shadow of the leaders before us, who made constant, diligent sacrifices of their time to bring Redmont to this point. If we fail to do so, we exacerbate disengagement from our community. frustration in our institutions, waste and inefficiency in our government, stagnation in our economy. The expectations of our government are staggering, but only because our potential is so high. And so, the march of change moves forward, and with it, the progress of our server. Through the diligence of our people, we strive for a better Redmont. Thank you, God bless you, and glory to Redmont. And I want to just close off with some cabinet introductions. I figured it would be appropriate if I introduce my own administration. So I'd like to congratulate Secretary Ex Endeavor on his renomination to his position of Secretary of State. I'd like to congratulate Secretary Gold for his nomination as Secretary of Justice. I'd like to congratulate Fruity Stone for his nomination as Secretary of Environment and Education. I'd like to congratulate Vulgar Fate for his confirmation as Secretary of Construction and Transportation. I'd like to congratulate Twixted for his renomination as Secretary of Public Affairs. I'd like to congratulate Belavria for her renomination as Secretary of Health. And I'd like to congratulate Secretary Mint Flavored J for her renomination as Secretary of Environment and Recreation. I'd also like to congratulate Attorney General Joe Gamer on his renomination. And we'll also be announcing the newest members of the President's staff. I'd like to congratulate Chief of Staff Muffins29, Press Advisor Rurge, Special Advisor Matcher 101, Special Advisor Vanquish 27, and Special Advisor Yerevan. Congrats, guys, and I look very forward to working with you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, everyone, for attending the inauguration of President Consumer and Vice President Gold. That concludes the inaugural ceremony. I would like to give special thanks to the foreign dignitaries from Stratham, including Ambassador Gabby and Deputy Prime Minister Calebine, for attending tonight and reinforcing the strong ties between our two nations. Members of both administrations, as well as foreign dignitaries, are welcome to join us for the inaugural ball, which will be held in the Government House Ballroom. Congratulations once again to President Consumer and Vice President Gold, and have a great rest of your day or night, everyone. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you so much to Secretary Twixted as event master of the ceremony for doing so much to just get all this together. Definitely made a huge contribution to just organizing all of this. So